Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. I just want to say that we made it to season 5 of this podcast. We have recently reached 200 episodes in total. So, thank you guys for your support. We've been going hard for 2 years and we're going to keep going. So this is the beginning of season 5 of Hot Topics. I cannot believe we've made it this far, you guys. So thank you for your continued support, whether you're familiar with us or whether you're brand new. Thank you for your support. All right, so let me just remind you what this show is about. So this is the show where we like to have real talk about real things. We like to talk about things in education, employment, mental health, physical health, anything else that is steamy. We're all about open dialogue here on Hot Topics, and we're all about teaching you and educating you as we are a part of my company, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. The goal of this podcast is for you to learn something, right? We want you to take information, share it with others, right? Think of this as a learning tool, right? An educational tool. And today I am looking forward to this conversation because we're going to get into it. We're going to get all controversial. So let's do it. What am I talking about? Let me tell you. So the topic today is, how should we behave around police? Right? How should we behave around police? And this is going to be for everybody, but particularly there's going to be talk around children and police. But this is a hot topic, right? And I'm curious to see where this is going to go. And the guest who is going to help me out, his name is Jalen Price. And let me just tell you who he is. So Jalen Price, he comes from Dallas, Texas, and his ultimate goal is the absolute liberation for all people from tyranny, while currently focusing on ending the victim mentality of the African American. And he has a tagline here: power respects power. Beautiful. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Jalen to the stage.
What
Hi.
up? What
How
up?
you doing
What
today?
up? I'm pretty good, man. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for coming on Hot Topics, and thank you for tackling this very controversial topic about police and how we should act around police, and because that's your that's your mission, right? To teach people about that, especially kids.
Right, definitely with the kids because they say it's easier to raise strong-minded children than correct broken men. So, that's what it's all about.
All right. So let's get right into it. So we're just gonna dive right in. How should we behave around police?
So that's a loaded question. It's a lot that goes into that. Specifically what I do is I make homeschool curriculums teaching, there's my book, Dallas Ebonix Project, teaching children how to effectively manage these police encounters. And one of the first things that I mentioned in this curriculum is the fear, right? A lot of these kids are seeing the same stuff that we're seeing on social media, the murders, the shootings, and everything that goes into that. And they're not being taught how to manage these things. We're not teaching our children, we're not talking to our children about this stuff. We just kind of let it be what it is, or we just accept it as what it is. But these kids are going outside and encountering police, and they have a perception of what the police are supposed to be, and vice versa. The police have a perception of what our children are. And so we have I find it relevant to teach our children how to appropriately manage these feelings whenever they get pulled over, specifically being the fear, right? Take the fear out of the equation because they sense that, right? They off the gate, soon as you get pulled over, they're looking for fear, they're looking for fidgeting, they're looking for movement, nervousness, things like that that create the environment of hostility. You know, it makes them feel like they have to be on edge, they have to, assume something is going on, even if ain't nothing going on. That perception is dangerous, so uh first and foremost, I think the most important thing is eliminating the fear.
What do you mean by that? Eliminating the fear.
Meaning, like, you get pulled over by police and you have, like, a lot of times the police will give like triggers, like the tone that they have when they come to your window. You can already tell what the police on like the first 5 seconds they come to your window. So little indicators that will make you feel like, man, this is gonna be a bad day, or man, he on BS. I already know what's about to happen. I know what kind of cop he is. You have to eliminate that nervousness because they're taught to seek that. That, like, they're looking for that. They're looking for anybody that looks like they got something else going on. So it's important that we teach our children that the fear isn't doing anything for you. Like, you shouldn't be afraid. You should be prepared. Meaning, have your documentation on, like, accessible to you. Within arm's length. Don't be reaching around, grabbing around, creating these perceptions. So you can eliminate the fear if we teach our children to be prepared in these situations.
So let's break that down a little bit. So prepared how? So let's say, okay, so a cop uh approaches them and they say, like, what are you doing here? Like, how should one
What the,
react?
what that happens, a lot of time the police will stop you and they'll make up stuff. They'll say, like, oh, it's been a lot of burglaries here, or you trip over a rock, all of a sudden you look drunk, you look high, or they'll make up something when they really want you. And so what I mean by be prepared, I mean, like, if you know you ain't done nothing wrong and the police are trying to stop you, you mentally prepare yourself to just in certain situations, there's nothing you can do but to comply. We're not talking about, I'm not talking about whether it's right or wrong or anything like that. I'm simply talking about how to manage these encounters and get back home to your family. So if you get in a situation like that where you ain't done nothing, they stopping you, they seem like they harassing you, the only thing to do is to just comply. Give them your name, ask them, have I been detained? If I have been detained, okay, accept that, go to jail, fight your case in court, take your ticket, fight your case in court, continue on with your life. But arguing with them is a losing battle. Like, for example, one thing I mentioned in the curriculum, it was a guy down here in Plano, Texas, right outside of Dallas. His name was Rodney Reese, right? This was on the news. It's not like a secret, but his name was Rodney Reese, and he was walking in a snowstorm. It was like a real bad snowstorm. It don't snow down here like that, so to our standards, it was real bad. And so he was walking, and the police was trying to stop him for no reason, and he wasn't doing nothing. But as they're trying to stop him, they're saying, "Do you need help?" And he's like, "I don't need no help. I'm good. Leave me alone. I'm straight. I'm just walking home." Boy was like 17. He's like, "I'm just walking home. I don't need any help." And then all of a sudden, it went from "Do you need help" to "Oh, you're jaywalking. You're walking in the street." So now there go your justification. Now you're making up an excuse to stop me. And then when the boy still is saying, "I'm not doing nothing wrong. Leave me alone," here they go grabbing them, trying to make it into a whole thing. Oh, now you're resisting arrest, and it's they create the problem that they're trying to solve. You know what I'm saying? So in a situation like that, there is no manipulating. You have to just comply so you can get out of there. Whether it's right or wrong is irrelevant in that situation because we know people die for less. So it's about give them your name, you know, tell them your birthday, whatever. They're probably gonna want to look your name up. They probably gonna say it's been a lot of burglary. Where you going? They're gonna ask you a bunch of questions that don't matter. If you know you can't like just up and walk off, if you know you can't beat them, just comply and go home, bro. Like take the pride out of it, take the ego out of it, just comply and go home and live to fight them another day. But arguing with them on the scene is counterproductive.
So now you're saying the goal is, to keep the interaction as brief as possible, right? So
As peaceful as possible.
as peaceful as possible. So you want to, is it safe to say you want to stay calm, right? Just if you feel
Right.
yourself getting angry, take a couple breaths, right? And don't argue. Just, here's my license, registration, or, keep your answer short.
Right. And it's important to acknowledge that this curriculum is catered toward children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm grown and you and the situation just go left and you don't respect me, I don't respect you, and it's just that type of situation, then you handle that however you feel you need to handle that. This ain't about grown folks. But for children, a lot of children don't know the law and don't know how to manage their emotions like that, and the police take advantage of them because of that. I'm talking about 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. Grown police officers take advantage of that, and a lot of these kids are getting railroaded, they're getting jammed up for no reason at all, because of ignorance of the law and just immaturity in general, So that's why I say it's so important that we stop waiting for the school system to teach our kids stuff that is relevant to us, and we take it upon ourselves to teach our kids this stuff ourselves.
Okay. So maybe, I mean, I was thinking like license and registration, but because those are more older kids, like 16, 17, but your focus is more like preteens, children. So
Right.
now, how do you, because a lot of those police are in schools, right? So, I mean, what's your response to that? Like, if they're actually integrated into the school system, you know,
If the
be it,
police were integrated into the school system.
yeah, a lot of schools have police in it. I think they're called
Right.
SROs. So,
Yeah, we
so
have
what do you
police
think
down
of
here in Texas too, in our schools, yeah, but they're not like real police. They're like hired police by the school or whatever, but they're not like real police officers. Like they're more so like security or school police type thing, but it's not the same thing. But a lot of those police be harassing and beating up kids and doing all kind of stuff, slamming kids on walls. We see it on the internet all the time. It was going on when I was in high school too. It ain't nothing new, but that's kind of like a different situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm more so catered toward like the street police and kids that's like outside type thing. But as far as the school police, I think they're beneficial when it comes to protecting and things like that. But it's a lot of harassment and a lot of things going on with them police and them schools that's being swept under the rug. That ain't right.
okay, so you're more like in the streets. All right. So you're saying, so few things. So you're 12, 13, you're in the streets, and a cop could just approach you, right? So you're
Right.
saying, one, stay calm, just take a deep breath, just your goal is not to agitate as much as possible. And, well, I mean, I doubt they may have a school ID. So if they ask,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
they
you'll
may
probably
have
have
a,
a school
they may have
ID.
a school ID, right? Or some sort of proof that, they're part of a school system. Um,
But at the same time, it ain't always about that though, because you know, what about the summertime? You know what I'm saying? When
right.
ain't nobody even in school. So put it's more so about police uh overstepping their authority based on who they feel is ignorant and who's not. So this is what I do is about making sure that these parents are taking control of the situation. It's a you know, I sent you a video. I know you're gonna end up playing it in the end, but I had seen a video on online the other day of a young man. I think it was in Chicago, but I could be wrong. But I really think it was in Chicago. But he was walking out the store with a gun on him, and the police bumped into him, or he bumped into the police, or whatever the situation was. And then the police was like, "Oh, who you think you bumping into? You can't just bump into me," and grabbed him and searched all on him, found his gun. I ain't never heard about it being illegal to bump into somebody. So illegal searches, but these kids aren't being taught the law and how to manage situations like this. And so they're getting railroaded. So by the time they're 17, 18 years old, they already been in the system, and the stigma or the fear of jail is gone. And so it's just a prerequisite to a whole another line of problems. You know what I'm saying? So if we can educate our children on, if first off, we got to get educated on the law. And then once we do that, we can educate our children on the law, and we can eliminate some of these problems. The best way to do that is by purchasing this book, because a lot of us don't have education to know how to even teach, or where to start, because it's the stigma, right? We don't want to condition our kids to hate the police. You know what I'm saying? So especially when they're just kids. So we don't have those conversations. But this is specifically catered around making parents be able to teach their kids in a very simple, easy, elementary kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So if you can manage to do this, then you can teach your kids anything. That's how I feel.
So is it safe to say, especially for kids, it's one, you want to be aware that um, people can be treated differently based on skin color. So teaching them that awareness that unfortunately, depending on the color of your skin, you might be treated differently. And that depending on your income, right? Or where you live, if you live in a poorer neighborhood, you're more likely to interact with police than if you were to be in a more wealthier neighborhood. So being aware of those differences, and then if you happen to be approached by police, to know your rights, right? Know that while yes, don't agitate, right? But also be aware that you're entitled to a lawyer. You know, don't say anything until your parents get there, right? Keep quiet
Right.
until you get an attorney.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
um,
things like that are important, but it's
yeah.
relevant to acknowledge that it's not always all about skin color. You know, we can't act like that doesn't matter, because it does matter, and stereotypes matter, and we acknowledge that. However, it's a lot bigger than skin color. I actually have a section in this curriculum about the Bacon's Rebellion, which, for those that don't know, was a huge rebellion that happened in 1681, or yeah, it was 1681, where Maryland lawmakers they invented these terms of white and black to create these racial sludges for the sole purpose of dividing and conquering. And in the Bacon's Rebellion, all the nationalities of that time came together and rose up against the power structure at that time for the sole purpose of liberation. And they created these sludges, divided everybody up, and gave Europeans a sense of superiority over everybody else. And they took the rights and the liberties that everybody had away from black people. And now we see the result of that, where black people are in this constant state of victimhood, and white people are in this constant state of superiority. Not across the board, not every single person, but in general, this is the narrative, right? And so we have to understand that it's bigger than color. Like, we were given these labels because our skin isn't even black. These are just labels that was given to us for the sole purpose of control and dividing and conquering. So we identify with these because we don't want to identify with anything else. But this isn't really who we are. This is who somebody told us that we were. Same thing with them. Somebody told them they were superior, and we perpetuate these narratives throughout our daily life sometimes. But we have to understand that the white people that are harassing us based on these stereotypes are not solely our enemy. They were fed a lie just like we was fed a lie. They are just as much of a victim as we are in their own type of way. But the real enemy is the system that is allowing these narratives to control us and consume us.
So when you say the system, what do you mean?
By the system, I mean the United States of America. I mean the whole way that this country functions is anti-black and counterproductive to everything about this country is anti-black. But it's also anti-white. It's anti anybody else having power other than the government itself. You know what I'm saying? So they play on our ignorance. They play on us not having power, not knowing nothing. And anytime we try to do things like this and empower ourselves and teach our kids what the truth is and come together and unite with the races and with the masses, it's always something that comes and tears it apart, breaks us down, and distracts us and divides us again. They'll put a picture of a man getting choked to death by the police on TV, white officer choking a black man, and it just perpetuates these narratives in your mind psychologically. It creates a sense of inferiority in you. And specifically, we talking about children. There's looking at this stuff, it creates this sense of inferiority. And then white kids look at this and it creates this sense of superiority because all black people do about it is cry, complain, and burn everything down. We don't actually do anything of power to change our actual situation. And so all our kids are looking at this and they're forming their own opinion of each other based on what they're seeing on the TV. And so we can't get so wrapped up in the skin color and the white police are doing this and that. It's not irrelevant, but that's not the be all end all. And we have to make sure that we're teaching our children that it's bigger than this white cop harassing you because you're black. Sometimes they just had a bad day. It might even be because you're black. He might just be having a bad day. Sometimes it might be because you're black. Sometimes it might be something else. Like it's not all about your skin color all the time. And going into that thinking like that is gonna get you jammed up. I know I seen a video on Instagram. This kind of irrelevant, but well, it's kind of random. But I seen a video of Plies on Instagram saying when he get pulled over by the police, he show him a picture of Derek Chauvin, the cop that killed George Floyd. He shows him a picture of Derek Chauvin so he know not to play with him. Keep in mind, it was just a joke. It's Instagram, just the internet. But that is a horrible idea. You do not do that. You don't get pulled over and instantly start talking about race relations and have the cop thinking like that, because that's just a tense situation you asking to have. So don't go into the game when you get stopped by the police. Don't go into it thinking that, oh, he finna mess with me because I'm black and he only pulled me over because I'm black. That's counterproductive, and it's a false narrative that is not helping us at all.
So it's interesting. That's an interesting take. Like it's not because even when I went into this episode, I was thinking, oh, we're just going to focus on black children, right? But you're saying it may not necessarily be a racial issue. It may just be, there's a sense of superiority, inferiority mentality, or just someone just having a bad day.
Right. It's all of that, including racial issues. It's not just racial issues. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your curriculum a little bit more. So what other things should children know about how to approach police? So don't agitate, stay calm.
Right. Do not agitate the encounter for sure. Stay calm. I got a segment in here about being on foot and how running away is for absolute emergencies only. You're not running away because you got some weed in your pocket and you don't want to spend 2 weeks in jail. Like we have to be smarter than that, because a lot of it was a man in, I want to say, Philadelphia. Come on, Jalen, how you forget his name? I want to say Derek Rose, or anyway, I apologize, I forgot his name, but we see kids all over the country getting shot in the back, left and right, all the time. You know what I'm saying? The ones that make the news are the minority. It happens all the time. My little brother got killed by the police in 2019. No rappers was talking about it. Breakfast Club didn't talk about it. Nobody was talking about it. So this stuff happens every day, everywhere. But it's important that we understand running away is for emergencies. And a lot of us are being killed. A lot of our children are being killed for preventable circumstances because they were afraid or they got scared. Bro, running away is if you have absolutely no other options, and the only way that you can get out of this situation is to run to preserve your life. And when you do run, you don't run straight. You run in zigzags. You know what I'm saying? You hop fences, you jump over cars. You don't make yourself an easy target. You trying to get up out of there. And it's also important that you have a destination, because if you know where you're going, it might help you to run faster if you know where you're going instead of just running aimlessly. You know what I'm saying? So these are, because the curriculum right here come with a PowerPoint. And in the PowerPoint, I have like a whole bunch of just tips like that, just additions like that. But these are things that's important because a lot of our kids are being killed for preventable circumstances. I'm talking about Class B misdemeanors. They're killing us over Class B misdemeanors, evading arrest, resisting arrest, little or nothing. You know, and these things can be avoided if we eliminate that fear. Also, talking about um, when you get pulled over, knowing the difference between your arrest record and your criminal record, because a lot of times we'll go to jail for whatever we'll go to jail for, and we get out of jail. Let's say those cases get dismissed. Those cases don't just disappear, bro. Anytime the police get behind you and they run your name on your car, they see everything you ever been charged with. And a lot of the time they use these charges, dismissed or not, to justify searching your car. And whether it's legal or not is irrelevant in that moment because they know more than likely you're ignorant of the law anyway. So they just gonna do whatever they want to do. We have to understand the difference between a criminal record and an arrest record and these little tricks that they use. Like, for example, they'll pull you over and they'll say, you'll hear him on the radio. Oh, he got aggravated this. He got a burglary of that, burglary. And you in your mind know all them cases got dismissed 5-6 years ago. You know them cases ain't even gonna hold no weight, but the officer isn't thinking about that. He's going off what he's being told on the radio. So we put a lot of blame on the officer. Sometimes it's the radio lady that's really putting us in a bad situation. The officer only know what she tell him. And so the officer will say something like, oh, why you acting nervous? And you're not even nervous. You're not even acting nervous. But they'll say why you acting nervous to make you nervous. And now you're nervous. You know what I'm saying? And so now they justify, oh, you moving weird, you moving weird. Whole time you was perfectly fine. But they created this environment to make it look like something was going on based on what he was told on the radio. So how can that be avoided? It can't be. That's out of your control. But it's about knowing how to maneuver through a situation like that so you don't get jammed up or you don't get played or they don't plant evidence on you, because they do that down here in Texas. They definitely do that. So you want to make sure that you're not on the ass end of that. Always be educated on what's going on the officers that's around you, the hostile environment that is being painted, how they're painting you, how the radio woman is painting you. All of that stuff is relevant. And so we want to make sure that our kids aren't getting railroaded and we are educating them on these tricks, on these things. So when they get pulled over, they can make it back to the house.
So I think it's also, to add to that, I think it's helpful to be aware of how police are trained. So they're trained to be ready, like always be ready for danger. You know, someone can shoot you, and so it's someone can shoot you and you don't know it. So I think they're always trained to be on their toes and be ready to shoot, right? So
I
so
mean,
I
I
think that's one
would.
of the, so that's one of the arguments, is that police are not trained to de-escalate, right? They're trained to just be ready to shoot. Um,
I mean, that's problematic
yeah.
because this is not Afghanistan, you know,
Hmm.
and on top of that, I would buy that. I would buy that, but we're talking about children. There's no way that a cop needs to be on his toes for a 12-year-old. I'm just not buying that. And if you are on your toes for a 12-year-old, you shouldn't be a police officer. You should have did something else. You need to go work at Kroger or something, because there's no reason for our children to be afraid. There's no reason for these parents to be afraid of their 12-year-old children getting shot because he reached the wrong way. That don't make no sense. So I don't know. I've heard a lot of that argument about the whole training thing, but I mean, we all grown, bro. Like, keep it real. Like, okay, training, okay, but in any given situation, a lot of the times the police are antagonizing the encounter in the first place. So they're not. A lot of the times they're creating the hostile environment that they claim that they were so afraid of. So it don't even. It's not even about the training. Because if that was the case, then the police would show up on the defense. A lot of times, the police are on offense out the gate. As soon as they come to your window, they're on offense. Some of them are regular and just do their job and go home. Some of them, a lot of them, but we not gonna act like some of them don't show up just to start some shit. And that's the problem. Those are the cops that are the problem. And I'm tired of people acting like more training. And this ain't about you, but I'm saying a lot of people create that narrative like more training is gonna solve something. Bro, these police go through hundreds of hours of training already. Like, there's nothing more for them to learn at this point. We've been talking about this for years. There's nothing else for them to learn. They just what we need them to do is not train more. We need them to stop agitating the encounter and stop creating hostile environments that's jamming our children up, because that's the problem.
Mm, interesting, interesting. So now, right, it's still, we also want to be aware that it's it's human beings, right? And the human beings are flawed, so they just happen to be human beings with badges and power and a lot of money behind them, right? Um, but they're still human beings, so they're still subject to hate, and they're still subject to racism and sexism, and so it's you're still working with people, and there's a lot of people that have those prejudices against other people, but then you add a badge to it and it multiplies. So it's systemic, but it's also like these are people with power.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem, but it's not an unsolvable problem. Honestly, we could solve a lot of this by just policing ourselves, but that's another conversation. And I don't think we're ready for that conversation.
I don't think we're ready for that either. All right, so let's kind of circle it back now. So, in terms of how should we behave around police, especially if you're a kid, I just want to reiterate. So you said, if they come up to you, you want to stay calm, don't agitate. If they act, just comply. Um, don't run away. Because that, how does that look to a police officer? Are you running away, right? So you want to be aware of the optics. So don't run away. If you know you did nothing wrong, just what are you worried about? And I mean, be aware that they might jam you up. They might, plant something on you, but just if you know you did nothing wrong, be ready to defend yourself. Know your rights. I would throw that in there as well. Know your rights. You have the right to an attorney. You have the right to remain silent, right?
Yeah.
I remember something like if you're in a police station and they give you a cup of water, um, don't throw it out in their trash, right? Take it with
Things
you.
like that.
So
Yeah, that's smart. Smart. Yeah.
so they don't have your DNA.
Right. Right.
Um, um, what else?
That's next
Know the
level though.
law. I mean, I don't expect a 12-year-old to know what
Right.
aggravated assault means, but but just you have the right to an attorney, right? And you have the right to protect yourself. And I think I know, and I also think we do it ourselves. Black people do it to we do it
What
to
you mean?
ourselves, and um, perpetuating those narratives. The police are bad; they're out to get us. There's no
Yeah,
hope. There's no right.
even with this,
We do it to ourselves too.
right? Even with this dialogue that we having, I could see how somebody would say, "Oh, they just police bashing." You know what I'm saying? But it
Yeah.
don't really even be about that. It just be about being real. Like we can't pretend like this stuff isn't going on. It it's not just relevant when the media talk about it. It's going on all the time. Like I say, nobody was talking about my brother, and it's a lot of other people I've heard of that have been killed. A lot of things that have happened to me that people aren't talking about. Like matter of fact, let me give you a good example too. I always knew one day I was going to expose this, and so now I'm glad I finally get the chance to do it. When I was 18 years old, I got into a situation with the police, and keep in mind I'm somebody's son. I'm a black woman's son. You know what I'm saying? So imagine this your son telling you that this just happened to him, right? So I get pulled over by the police. I'm with my boy, and the police tell us, "Oh, the car's stolen." Keep in mind, I have no knowledge of any of this. I'm in the passenger seat, but they say the car's stolen. I'm like, okay. My boy say, um, "What you want to do?" He said he finna take off. I'm in the passenger side. I have no control over nothing going on. He said, I'm finna take off. Boom, he take off. We driving away from the police. And we flying. We going about 100 miles an hour. So we flying. Long story short, we get into this real bad accident, slam into somebody head first. By the grace of God, somehow we both survive and jump out the car and take off running. We take off running. The police get behind me. Stop or I'm gonna shoot. I'm still running. Keep in mind, I'm running away. It's a class B misdemeanor. He say, stop or I'm gonna shoot. I try to hop a fence. Whoop, don't make it. I fall down. Wow. Police put me in handcuffs. They take me back to the car. And then all of a sudden, you hear somebody shooting in the air. Boom, 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 boom. And my boys, all the police stop and look at me. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. What y'all looking at me for? And so the police hop on the radio. Yeah, the suspect is shooting at me. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I need backup. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I'm now they put me in the back of the police car, and I'm sitting here like, I know this fool is not shooting at the police. Like I ain't got stuff to do. Like, bro, you tripping, bro? You know what I'm saying? Now, after some hours go by, right? Police come back to the scene, and the officer that hopped on the radio came and talked to me. He said, "Yeah, we found your partner gun in the car, and we found some weed in the car." And I'm like, "How you find his gun in the car, but you were just getting shot at?" Right? And then he tell me, "Well, I ain't gonna charge your partner with shooting at me because I ain't actually see him do it." I'm like, "Well, damn, why you get on the radio making all that noise and you ain't even see him do it?" Right? And so we go to the jail. I'm going to jail, and they end up catching him later on, right? And he going around the jail like, "Oh man, I just got shot at. I just got shot at." Telling all the cops, "I just got shot at, honey." Calling his wife, "I just got shot at." I'm like, "Damn, you excited to get shot at?" Right? So I go to the holding cell and I end up seeing my partner in the holding tank, face beat up real bad, like they did him real bad, right? Can't even recognize him really. And I see him and I say, "Bro, what is wrong with you? Why are you shooting at the police?" And he said, "Nah, bro, I ain't shoot at nobody. I was hiding under a car." And the police pulled his gun out and shot in the air. And then hopped on the radio and said, "Hey, the suspect is shooting at me." And then created this whole scene like he was really a victim whole time. He was the cause of the whole situation. We got misdemeanors, bro. Theft of a motor vehicle and evading arrest. Those are misdemeanors. Like you doing all this over misdemeanors? And then I'm really inclined to say he really just wanted to kill us both. Cause you was gonna shoot me in the back for running away from you. And then you tried to set my partner up to get him killed when the police finally caught up to him. And so these are examples. I'm 18 years old. My partner like 18, 19 years old. This is what they're doing to our children. None of this stuff was on the news. We didn't go file complaints. Nobody was talking about this. This is stuff that's going on every day. And our kids cannot get out of situations like, how do you avoid a situation like that? Somebody could say, "Oh, well, don't be stealing cars. Don't be running from police." All of that stuff is irrelevant when you're in the moment. When your kids are in the moment, they're gonna do whatever they feel they have to do in that moment to get out that jam. And my goal is to teach us how to survive in situations like this. that was a real bad situation, and I don't really know what could have been done to avoid that in the heat of the moment. What I could have done differently, I honestly don't know. But um, it's really important that our kids understand evading arrest will get you killed. Running away will indeed get you killed. That's why I say it's for emergencies only. It's absolute last resort type of behavior. Outside of that, you risking your life, bro.
Thank you for sharing that. And I know, that's tough to share, and it's, it's real life. And I mean, speaking of, that, let me ask you, you wrote a whole curriculum about it. You wrote a whole book about it. So what do you say to someone that says, "Oh, you're police bashing. You're hating the police. Why are you anti-cop?" What do you say to those people?
Everybody got a right to feel how they want to feel. I honestly don't care because nobody is rallying outside the courthouse for my brother. Nobody is writing letters to the judge about my brother. Nobody is on podcasts talking about my brother. I don't owe any explanation to anybody. If you don't like what I'm talking about, then don't listen to me. I have the right to feel the way I want to feel. And it's a lot of other people that feel like me and that have stories like me and have children that they don't want to go through those same situations. And so that's what I'm doing. If the police don't want to be bashed, then they should stop doing things that are worth bashing. It's really just simple. Just like if we don't want to get railroaded, we should stop putting ourselves in situations to get railroaded. It go both ways, bro. But I don't owe any explanation to nobody. You don't have to listen to nothing I'm talking about. I could care less.
Right. And that's that's honest, that's fair, right? And these are things that people go through every day, particularly people of color. And I know you said it's not always a race thing, but I mean, I guess in my personal opinion, I think more so people of color experience. I think it could also be an income thing as well. Um, Income thing, people of color, they're more likely to interact with police, but it's someone's life experiences, and you can't just brush that away. And especially if it's so common, and particularly with your brother, I know not everything will be on the news, not everyone would be picketing. So I do think the media plays a role in that. They tend to cherry pick the stories, but that'll give them the most headlines, and but this is somebody's life, and it's real life, and it happens all the time, and it happens more than you think.
Yeah, it happens every single day, but it's not about wallowing on that though. We not trying to play victim, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not victims. These things happen unfortunately, but there are opportunities for us to show that we're conquerors. It's an opportunity for us to educate. We can sit around and talk about the problems all day long, but I'm over that. I'm all about what are we gonna do to prevent this from happening in the future, and constantly being reactionary, if that's a word. I don't even know if that's how you say that, but constantly reacting to what they do. Always, we're so quick to call Benjamin Crump. We're so quick to run to the NAACP, to run to social media, to get help, to start GoFundMe's. We're always on the defense. And I'm just tired of playing defense. Like, we need to start playing offense. We need to start educating our kids. And it's not just about this particular subject though. Just in general, homeschooling your kids is so important. And your kids don't have to be homeschooled for you to homeschool. They can go to regular school. But when they come home, because I know people don't be having time for all that, when they get home and you catch them, teach your kids stuff. Like, buy homeschool curriculums. They A lot of them ain't cheap, I ain't gonna lie. But you can find people like me, and my goal is to link up with other people that want to make the situation bigger, right? Other people that have expertise in their particular discipline. Hey,
Hmm.
bro, let's make curriculums about this stuff and teach it to our kids instead of waiting for the school system to do it or waiting for Joe Biden to pass a bill to do it or whatever the fuck. Let's just teach our kids this stuff ourselves. And all it takes is a little bit of money, the same money you spend on Jordans and Nikes and socks and stuff. Spend that money on a curriculum and educate your kids, because nobody gonna do it for us.
Right. We're too busy waiting for the government to act when we can just do it ourselves.
We could just do it out. Like, we got 2 hands and 2 feet, just like everybody else. Like, we can literally do this ourselves. So,
All right. All right. So I want to make time for your video. Um, so you know what? Let me play your video now, and then we'll start to wind things down. So let me play your video. I want to make time to play it. So I'm going to do that right now.
all right. Civil forfeiture is legal theft. I don't care what these people tell you. Understand, the police are not your friends. They will rob you, set you up, lie on a police report, whatever they got to do to get a conviction. And that includes stealing your money, all in the name of good police work. Perception matters. Understand, the perception of criminality can get you jammed up just as fast as actual criminality. Don't be riding around with $9,000 in 20s and then act surprised when them people say something about it. Don't be riding around with your car smelling like 5 pounds of weed and then get an attitude when they tell you to hop out the car. Be smarter than that. Perception matters. If it looked like a setup, treat it like a setup. Entrapment is a legal defense to a crime. It absolves people of criminal liability when the police lured you into committing that offense. For example, you outside and somebody walk up to you and say, hey, I need some drugs, right? Say, I got such and such amount of money. I need you to give me this and this and that. All right. You go get it and bring it back to them, and then they lock you up. That's entrapment. Don't let them trick you off the street like that, because they banking on you being ignorant. Learn the law for yourself. Be smart. Do not answer any incriminating questions about yourself or others. No matter what, you don't know nothing about drugs, gangs, guns, any criminal activity, nor do you affiliate with people who do. Do not talk to people about criminal activity who you do not know, and if a random person walk up to you and ask you for drugs, they probably the police.
I love that last one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an excerpt from the PowerPoint. I got a lot of videos just like that on the PowerPoint. You come with the book, it's free.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, we're gonna wind things down now. So I like to ask my guests to share any words of wisdom. So do you have any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience?
Words of wisdom. It's nobody's responsibility to educate our people other than us. We are our children's only hope. We cannot continue to wait on the government to do it. We cannot continue to wait on the school system to do it. We cannot keep petitioning, begging, lobbying, and complaining about the school system as if we don't have 2 hands and 2 feet like everybody else. Go outside, get you a curriculum, or make one yourself. It's not that hard. And teach your kids relevant information that you know the school system not going to teach us. Nobody is going to talk to us about how to manage a police encounter. Nobody is going to do it. We have to take responsibility and take charge of our own children and teach them this content ourselves. And once we do that, we got to understand we don't owe anybody any explanations for it. We don't owe nobody. We don't have to justify ourselves. We are adults, and we choose what our children need to know and what they don't need to know, irregardless to what any other culture feel about it. So take the emotions out of it, take your feelings out of it. Who cares what it looked like to them other people? We have to focus on teaching our children, or else we're going to continue this cycle for another 50 years. And I don't got 50 more years of this. So that's my words of wisdom.
Thank you so much for that. And speaking of your book, let's promote it right now. All right, so you have a curriculum. It is called the Dallas Ebonix Project: How to Appropriately Manage a Police Encounter. So all these things that we talked about and more, you took the time to outline it in a curriculum. So it's worksheets, it's PowerPoints, it's teaching
Yes.
points, it's pretty much like a class, right? All in
Exactly.
one. And it is to help parents teach young children, so probably like 13 and under, right? To teach young children about how to act around police. So you took
Right.
the time to outline it and you made it fun. You gave homework assignments, right? It's an actual homeschool curriculum that you created and you put all that in a book. So again, it is called the Dallas Ebonix Project: How to Appropriately Manage a Police Encounter. And hold up your book one more time for the people watching on video. That's
Dallas
right.
Ebonix Project. Yep, you can
That's
get it on Amazon. I got physical copies of it. You know, I got a few places out here in the city that feature my book, so I'm trying to get in more and more bookstores. I'm actually going to a homeschool convention in Atlanta in a couple weeks, and I'm trying to get my book over there. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, very important. It got tests in it, homework assignments, like she say, everything you need, vocabulary, words. It's vital information that we're not going to learn anywhere else. So definitely go check it out. Dallas Ebonix Project.
all right. So you can get that book on Amazon.com, and you're in Dallas, Texas right now. So
Dallas,
if you happen
Texas.
to be, you're in Texas.
Right.
So is it in books? You're trying to get it in bookstores. So is it
Right. Right.
anywhere that someone can go and get the purchase a hard copy?
Uh, Well, right now, the best place for you to get it is just get it on Amazon. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the process of trying to get it in more and more bookstores and libraries and things like that. Like I say, this is something new that I just really concocted like this month. You know what I'm saying? So I've been working on it for years, but I just completed it this month. So the best, fastest way for you to get it is just get it on Amazon for right now. They'll send you a physical book. And if you want the digital book, you can go to payhip.com. You can get the digital book if you just want the digital book, but I like the physical book better. It's really catered around parents teaching it. It's not really designed for kids to just read it themselves. It's more so for parents to actually teach it, to encourage parents to do that in more than one way. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Right. So it's not just a book to read. Like it's an actual class, right? Like
Right, right, right.
here, here are these points. Give them these homework assignments. I don't know if you have games. Play these games with them. Like, so it's a curriculum. I don't know how else to
Right.
say it.
It's a real curriculum. I know I call it a book, but it's a real curriculum. You know, so definitely tap in for sure.
All right, so you can get a hard copy on Amazon,
Amazon.
right? And you
Mm-hmm.
can get
Mm-hmm.
the digital copy on
Hey, look.
payhip.com. So, of course, for my audience, these links will be provided in the description, but where we're just saying it here, you can
Mm-hmm.
get a hard copy of the curriculum. I'm going to say the title one more time: Dallas Ebonix Project: How to Appropriately Manage a Police Encounter. You can get a hard copy of that curriculum on Amazon and the digital copy on payhip.com. And I also want to take this moment to, let me just make that change real quick. All right, so I want to take a moment to shout out where people can find you. Right now, it is just your Instagram. So I
Mm-hmm.
encourage you guys to hit up Jay on Instagram. It is Pleasant Groove, not Groove, Grove.
Pleasant
Pleasant
Grove, Jay. Yep. Pleasant
Pleasant
Grove,
Grove
Jay.
J.
Uh,
Pleasant Grove J. So I encourage
one
you,
word.
well, all one word, Pleasant
Mm-hmm.
Grove J, all one word. You can hit him up on Instagram. So I encourage you guys to follow him on Instagram. If you have any questions, hit him up. But hit him up on Instagram, you guys. Is there anything else you want to promote, or where else can people find you?
Other than this, I do book reviews on Spotify. You know, because our people for some reason don't like reading. So I do book reviews where I read books that's relevant to us that we're not reading, and I just review them. So that way you ain't got to. On Spotify, it's Dallas Ebonix, spelled DALLASEBONIX. That's on Spotify. Do book reviews. I also write scripts. I make films and stuff like that. I do a lot of stuff. You know, but if you want to like check out some of my content, though, Spotify for sure. That's what I do. I'm on YouTube too, but YouTube is like some of my earlier stuff. Spotify is what I'm doing right now.
All right, so what's the name of your Spotify? How do people
Dallas,
find you on Spotify?
Spotify at Dallas Ebonix. You know what I'm saying? DALLASEBONIX. Dallas
Okay.
Ebonix. And you can go to my Instagram. I got a link on my Instagram to all my stuff, so you can just click the link from my Instagram.
Okay. So Dallas Ebonix. So that's okay. Ebonix.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm gonna put that in the banner right now.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right. All right. So you can find Jalen Price. We're gonna make an addendum here. So you can find him on Instagram. The name is Pleasant Grove J, all one word. You can also find him on Spotify, Dallas Ebonix, spelled DallasEbonix. So
Right, right.
find him on Spotify, follow him on Spotify, subscribe to his channel, and follow him on Instagram, you guys. All right.
Sure.
Well, Jalen Price, thank you so much for coming on my show, and thank you for, this is a tough topic, and we may have, I'm sure we missed a few things, but we got the conversation started, and
Right, right,
we made the first step, I think.
right.
So this was definitely an interesting conversation. So thank you for coming on Hot Topics.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you for having me. This is a very important subject. So anybody that's willing to get this content out is a friend of mine. So I sure appreciate this.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm going to place you backstage. And it is now you and me, guys. So we've reached the conclusion of yet another episode. But I actually, in light of this conversation, I just wanted to share these last few tidbits here. Um, so I'm just gonna read this here. This is from the ACLU, but basically, we want to teach our kids. This is for everybody, but particularly kids. You want to know your rights when stopped by police. So little things like you have the right to remain silent, which is what I, mentioned before. You have the right not to incriminate yourself. You do not have to consent to a search of yourself or your belongings, but police may pat down your clothing if they suspect a weapon. Note that refusing consent may not stop the officer from carrying out the search against your will, but making a timely objection before or during the search can help preserve your rights in any later legal proceeding. If you are arrested by police, you have the right to a government appointed lawyer if you cannot afford one. You do not have to answer questions about where you were born, whether you are a U.S. citizen, or how you entered the country, although that kind of changes if you're at an international border. And to reduce the risk to yourself, stay calm, which is what we talked about. Don't agitate. Don't run. Don't run. Don't resist. Don't obstruct the officers. Do not lie or give false documents. Keep your hands where the police can see them. And if you ever find yourself arrested or detained, say you wish to remain silent and ask for a lawyer immediately. Don't give any explanations or excuses. Don't say anything, sign anything, or make any decisions without a lawyer. If you have been arrested by police, you have the right to make a local phone call. The police cannot listen if you call a lawyer. They can and often do listen if you call anyone else. If you believe your rights were violated, write down everything you remember, including officers' badges and patrol car numbers, which agency the officers were from, and any other details. Get contact information for witnesses. If you're injured, seek medical attention immediately and take photographs of your injuries. File a written complaint with the agency's Internal Affairs Division or Civilian Complaint Board. In most cases, you can file a complaint anonymously if you wish. If you are witnessing police abuse or brutality, stand at a safe distance and possible use your phone to record video of what is happening, as long as you do not interfere with what the officers are doing and do not stand close enough to obstruct their movements. You have the right to observe and record events that are plainly visible in public spaces. Do not try to hide the fact that you are recording. Police officers do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy when performing their jobs, but the people they are interacting with may have privacy rights that would require you to notify them of the recording. Um, Yeah, in many states, you must affirmatively make people aware that you are recording them. Police officers may not confiscate or demand to view your photographs or video without a warrant, and they may not delete your photographs or video under any circumstances. If an officer orders you to stop recording or orders you to hand over your phone, you should politely but firmly tell the officer that you do not consent to doing so and remind the officer that taking photographs or video is your right under the First Amendment. Be aware that some officers may arrest you for refusing to comply, even though their orders are illegal. The arrest would be unlawful, but you will need to weigh the personal risk of arrest, including the risk that officer may search you upon arrest, against the value of continuing to record. Whether or not you are able to record everything, make sure to write down everything you remember, including officers' badge and patrol call. Sorry, including officers' badge and patrol car numbers, which agency the officers are from, how many officers were present and what their names were, any use of weapons, including less lethal weapons such as tasers or batons, and any injuries suffered by the person stopped. If you are able to speak to the person stopped by police after the police leave, they may find your contact information helpful in case they decide to file a complaint or pursue a lawsuit against the officers. So, all of that is on the ACLU website. So I wanted to share that information. All right, you guys. So um, thank you again for watching Hot Topics or listening to Hot Topics as well. So let me just remind you that Hot Topics is a part of my company, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you are looking for any kind of tutoring service, whether it's one-on-one tutoring, college counseling, test prep, excuse me, or virtual workshops or any kind of educational workshop, hit us up. Our website is www.stepaheadtutoringservices.com. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what else? WhatsApp, YouTube, I think I said Instagram. I think I'm repeating it again. But you can find us on many social media platforms. So just type in A Step Ahead Tutoring Services and we will pop up. Look for the pencil logo with the gray and white tip and you will find us there. So you could check us out online. The website again, www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. You can also find us on multiple social media platforms as well. And we are um, on audio with our audio podcast. So you can check us out on any of our audio platforms. So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple. I mean, we just got word that Stitcher is closing down, but we're on multiple podcast platforms as well with this show, Hot Topics. So check us out on any of those platforms as well. But all of our information is at the bottom of the screen. If you happen to be watching this on video, but if you are listening to this on a podcast, all of that information, of course, is in the description. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me on Hot Topics. I look forward to you joining me at the next episode. Thank you again. And now I am signing off. Bye, you guys.